You run as fast as you can, your heart pounding, your breath uneven. The opportunity is right there, so close. You reach for it, and just like that, it slips away. Someone else gets it. Not you, you stop. Not because you're tired, but because something inside you just dropped. Why does this keep happening to me? You ask, staring at nothing. You worked hard, you waited. You believed this time would be different, but once again, it didn't work out. And now you're left with the same feeling, disappointment, confusion. And a question that keeps repeating in your mind. Why? What if this moment, the one that feels like a loss, is actually protecting you from something you can't see yet? It sounds difficult to accept, because right now all you see is what you lost, the chance, the outcome, the result you were hoping for, but what you don't see is the bigger picture, not yet. You remember how excited you were, how you planned everything, how you imagined the outcome. You saw yourself succeeding, you felt it, you believed it, and now that image is broken, not slowly, but instantly, and that's what hurts the most. There's a silence that follows disappointment, not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet emptiness. You sit there thinking about everything you could have done differently, every small decision, every step. You replay it again and again, as if somehow you can change the past. Maybe I'm just unlucky. The thought appears, and it feels real, because when things don't go your way repeatedly, it starts to feel personal, like the world is working against you, like no matter what you do, it won't be enough. And slowly, your belief begins to fade. Before this, you trusted the process. You believed that effort leads to results. You believed that patience pays off. But now, that belief feels weaker, because waiting without seeing progress is one of the hardest things to go through. The air feels heavy around you. The world moves on like nothing happened. People continue their lives. But you're stuck in this moment, trying to understand it, trying to make sense of it, trying to find a reason. What if not getting what you want is sometimes exactly what you need? It doesn't feel that way, not now, because your mind is focused on the outcome. But life doesn't always give you what you ask for. Sometimes it gives you what you're not ready for yet, or what you're not meant to have, and that difference is hard to see in the moment. I did everything right. You say it with frustration, and maybe you did, maybe you gave your best, maybe you followed every step, but here's something most people don't realize. Doing everything right doesn't guarantee immediate results. Sometimes the timing isn't right. Sometimes the path is different. Sometimes the lesson comes before the reward. You look around and see others moving forward, getting opportunities, achieving things, and it makes you question yourself even more. Why them and not me? That comparison hurts because it makes your journey feel slower, less important, less successful. Before you were focused on reaching the destination. Now you're forced to stay in the journey, and that's uncomfortable because the journey is uncertain, it's unpredictable, it tests your patience in ways you didn't expect. There's a moment where you can choose what to believe. You can believe that this is the end, or you can believe that this is part of something bigger. Both feel possible, but only one will move you forward. Maybe this happened for a reason. You don't say it with full confidence, not yet, but the thought is there, small, uncertain, but present, and sometimes that's where change begins. You start to look at things differently, not completely, not instantly, but slightly. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You ask, what can I learn from this? That question shifts your focus. From frustration to understanding, you realize something important. This delay, this setback, this moment of waiting, it's teaching you patience, not the kind where you just sit and do nothing, but the kind where you keep going, even when results are not visible. Patience is not easy, it's not comfortable, it doesn't give you quick rewards, but it builds something inside you, strength, discipline, trust in the process, and those things matter more than any single opportunity. You're still disappointed. You're still confused, but now there's a small part of you that's willing to wait a little longer, to try again, to believe just a little more. And that small shift is the beginning of something powerful, because sometimes what feels like a delay is actually preparation. What feels like rejection is actually redirection, and what feels like an ending is just the start of a better path. You don't see it yet. You don't understand it fully. But one day, you will look back at this moment and realize it happened for a reason. Wait, don't rush this. You pause. For the first time, you don't chase the next opportunity immediately. You don't force another outcome. Instead, you stop, not because you gave up, but because something inside you is starting to change. What if the reason things are slow right now is because life is asking you to grow into someone stronger? That thought feels different. Before, you wanted results. Now you begin to understand the process. Growth is not always visible. It happens quietly, in your mindset, in your habits. In the way you respond when things don't go your way. A few days pass, then weeks, you try again, but this time something is different. You are calmer, more aware, less desperate. You still want success, but you are no longer controlled by it. Why are you still trying? Someone asks you, they don't understand. From the outside, it looks like you're failing again and again, but they don't see what's changing inside you. They don't see your patience building, your focus sharpening, your belief becoming stronger, not louder, but deeper. Before, rejection used to break you. Now it teaches you. You don't take it personally anymore. You observe it, you learn from it, you adjust, and then you move forward. Imagine if every delay in your life is not a denial, but a preparation for something greater. You begin to see patterns. Moments where things didn't work out, but later made sense. Situations that felt unfair, but led you to better paths. It's like connecting dots, but only after time has passed. There was a time when you would rush decisions, say yes to things without thinking. Follow opportunities just because they were available. But now you pause, you think, you choose carefully, because patience has given you clarity. The room is quiet. You sit with your thoughts. No distractions, no noise, just you and your journey. And for the first time, you don't feel lost. You feel in progress. Something is changing. You say it softly, not as a question, but as a realization. You're not where you want to be yet, but you're no longer where you started. And that matters. Before you were chasing outcomes. Now you are building yourself. And that shift changes everything. Because when you become better, your results eventually follow. You try again, another opportunity, another attempt. And once again, it doesn't go as planned. But this time you don't break. You breathe, you reflect, you move forward. Because now you understand something most people don't. Success is not about avoiding failure. It's about becoming stronger through it. Have you ever noticed how the strongest people are not the ones who got everything easily? They are the ones who struggled, who waited, who kept going even when nothing made sense. That's what builds depth. That's what builds resilience. Before, your story was full of frustration. Now it is full of learning. Every setback is adding something to you, not taking away. And slowly you start to trust that. You wake up one morning, nothing extraordinary happens, no big breakthrough, no sudden success. But something feels different. You feel steady, grounded, patient, and that feeling is powerful because patience is not just waiting, it's trusting that your effort matters, trusting that your time will come, trusting that everything you're going through is shaping you for something bigger. Keep going. You whisper to yourself, not with pressure, but with belief, and that belief is stronger than before, because now it's built on experience, not just hope. Days turn into months, and then something shifts, an opportunity appears, but this time you are ready, not because it's perfect, but because you are different, stronger, wiser, more prepared. You take the chance, you give your best, and this time it works, not instantly, not magically, but steadily. You see progress, real progress, the kind you used to wait for, the kind that once felt impossible. And suddenly, everything starts to make sense. All the delays, all the rejections, all the moments you thought were failures, they were never meaningless. They were preparing you, step by step, moment by moment. Before, you wanted things to happen quickly. Now you understand why they didn't. Because if they had happened earlier, you wouldn't have been ready. You stand there, looking at how far you've come, and you realize something deeply powerful. Nothing was wasted, not the time, not the effort, not even the pain. You smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you understand your journey now. So let me ask you something. The next time something doesn't go your way, will you see it as the end, or will you trust that it's part of something greater, because everything in your life, every delay, every struggle, every moment of waiting is shaping you, guiding you, preparing you. You just have to stay patient, keep moving, keep believing, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense, because one day you will look back and realize everything happened for a reason. Stop, just stop for a second. You didn't expect those words to come from someone else, or maybe from yourself, because for so long you've been running, chasing, forcing things to happen, trying to control every outcome. But now you pause, not out of fear, but out of understanding. What if the reason you were always tired wasn't because you were doing too little, but because you were doing too much without trust? That thought hits differently, because it's true. You were trying to make everything happen on your timeline, your way, your speed. And every time it didn't work, it hurt more. There's a strange peace in letting go, not giving up, not quitting, but releasing the need to control everything. You still take action, you still move forward, but now you allow life to unfold. You walk outside, the air feels lighter. Or maybe it's you who feels lighter. For the first time, you are not carrying the weight of when will it happen. You are simply doing what you can today. Before, I was different. You think about it. You remember the version of you who was always anxious, always checking results, always comparing, always worried about falling behind. And now that version feels distant. Before, every delay felt like a failure. Now it feels like timing. Before, every rejection felt personal. Now it feels directional. Before, every pause felt like being stuck. Now it feels like being prepared. That shift changes everything. Do you see the difference? Nothing outside changed immediately. The world didn't suddenly become easier. Opportunities didn't magically appear overnight. But you changed. And because you changed, everything else started to align. A message arrives, an opportunity you once hoped for. Something you would have jumped at without thinking, but now you pause, you read it carefully, you reflect, and then you decide, not based on fear, not based on urgency, but based on clarity. Is this right for me? That question guides you now, and the answer feels honest. Because you are no longer desperate, you are prepared. The path ahead is still uncertain, but it doesn't scare you anymore because you've learned something powerful. You don't need to know everything, you just need to trust the process. The nights are quieter now, not because life is perfect, but because your mind is calmer. You're not overthinking every situation, you're not forcing answers, you're allowing things to make sense in their own time. There was a time when you thought patience meant waiting without progress. Now you know patience is progress. It's the silent work, the unseen growth, the steady effort that builds something real. Keep going, but don't rush. That becomes your new mindset. You move forward with intention, not pressure. You act with focus, not fear. And that difference shows in everything you do. Have you ever noticed how life gives you answers when you stop chasing them? It sounds strange, but it's true. When you create space, clarity enters. When you slow down, direction appears. When you trust things begin to align, you start noticing signs, not magical ones, but real ones. Better decisions, stronger habits, clearer thinking. These are the results of your patience. Before you wanted everything at once. Now you value the process. Before you feared delays. Now you respect timing. Before you doubted everything. Now you trust your journey. The transformation didn't happen in one moment. It happened slowly, quietly, through every setback, every pause, every time you chose to continue instead of quitting. You stand in a place you once dreamed of, not perfect, not final, but meaningful. And you realize this version of you could not exist without everything you went through. Thank you. You say it not to anyone else, but to your journey, to every delay, to every moment that didn't make sense at the time. Because now you understand. So let me ask you something. When life slows you down, when things don't go your way, when you feel like you're falling behind, what will you do? Will you panic? Will you force outcomes? Will you lose belief? Or will you pause? Will you trust? Will you keep moving forward with patience? Because everything you're going through right now has a purpose. Even if you can't see it, even if it feels unfair, even if it takes time, your struggles are shaping you, your delays are guiding you, your waiting is preparing you. You are not behind, You are not lost. You are in the process. And the process is where transformation happens. So don't rush your story. Don't compare your timing. Don't lose belief just because things are slow. Keep showing up. Keep learning. Keep trusting, even when it's hard, even when it's unclear, even when nothing seems to change. Because one day, everything will connect. Everything will make sense. And you will realize that every moment you once questioned was leading you exactly where you needed to be. Everything happens for a reason, and your only job is to be patient enough to see why.